Welcome once again for joining us here today. I am joined live by Bolarinwa Lateed. She is our guest for today, alhamdulillah. And welcome to another episode of my divorce journey. So before we start, we're just going to give praises and adoration to Allah for making today for bringing today for us, for making it, for keeping us alive till today. I'm just going to say, Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So, our guest here today on my divorce journey series is Bolarinwa Lateed. So, I'm just going to let her do the honor of introducing herself to us. And then I'll start asking the questions because I know a lot of you are waiting to hear her story, how she, should I say, how she made it, how she survived the struggle, the journey, and how she was also able to keep her team intact. And also, if you have your questions, please feel free to send them in. You can send it via the YouTube channel or Instagram channel. So, Ms. Bolarinwa Lateed,
Hello.
please introduce yourself to us.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's really an opportunity to be on this podcast with Cass. And I pray that for everything that we will be sharing in terms of knowledge and experience, that may Allah make it be beneficial to us. Beyond today, may it be a means of reminder, a constant reminder to review every aspect of our life. My name is Bolarinwa Lateed, a mother of one, the daughter of a father. And I think I'm going to emphasize on why I like introducing myself in that because of family support. And I am a chartered accountant, currently working as an auditor in one of the big four firms. And and I'm here live to share my experience on my divorce journey through life and how it has impacted my life today. Yeah.
So, first of all, okay, hold on. I don't know what's going on with the camera. Um, One sec. Okay. So, okay, thank you. So, I'm just going to dive straight into the questions without wasting so much time because a lot of people are interested in knowing your story. And I always help put the questions together that people have asked me before, especially my clients, and also questions that are very popular, from divorced women and even married women. Alhamdulillah. So, Bolarinwa, can you please tell our audience a bit about your personal journey through divorce and how this has transformed your outlook on life?
Well, as a Muslim, there are different perspectives that I feel we would play as an actor in life. Just like we have actors and actresses, they can be called upon to play different roles. So today you could come up to be like a doctor. Tomorrow you could come up to act like, a teacher. So one of the things that I have always defined myself to be is I'm going to face life in different perspectives. I'm going to have different phases of life. So my divorce journey, when it came around, of course, no one plans to get divorced when you're getting married.
Yeah.
You've always hoped that that would be something that would lead you, that will be consistent in your life in terms of happiness, because you're trying to grow another generation through you. So my divorce journey, to me, it was one of the most unanticipated aspect of my life, because my personality had always been bubbly, doesn't take life too serious. And that point in my life was a wake up call for me. It wasn't an easy thing, but I tried as much as possible to shape my life in a way that to live in this present situation. And like I said, I've always had a relationship with Allah, and I've always had a mindset that I would go through life in different phases or perspective that I've never anticipated for. So I think that foundation in me got me somehow, not, I wouldn't say 100%, but it was like the only foundation that I could hold on to that was getting me prepared for what I did not plan for in my life. I mean, I got married at the age of I think 23, if I'm correct. So it was quite too young for me to even understand what was happening in the journey. So for my divorce life, it was not the best of my experience. I mean, when I was in it wasn't something that it impacted a lot of things in my life. I mean, negatively when I started before I started embracing it, it impacted so many things in my life in terms of growth, in terms of what I wanted to become, in terms of what I've anticipated. But in all of it, I had to retrace myself to first of all try to live in the moment. I think that was the beginning of my reality. And the beginning of that reality started year 3 in my marriage. It was that young. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It was
Interesting.
the I mean, the turbulence was like year 3 in my marriage. If I want to lay my hands on it, like when I accepted that something was going wrong. And do not forget, I was just 23 years old. So
Yeah,
even
quite
after
young.
it was quite young. So I accepted my reality year 3. That was the beginning, because that was the beginning of when I can say I embraced, like there was a challenge that I'm passing through. And year 1, year 2 was I don't understand what was going on.
Mm.
And I also felt no one was going to understand me. So it felt like, am I crazy? I no,
Am I?
I also felt no one was going to understand me. Right. So it's more like year 3 was my beginning of the reality. And definition of that reality started with, what have I done wrong? That question, no, it wasn't even what have I done wrong. My question was, Allah is angry with me.
Wow.
That was that was my perspective before it started getting reshaped into, could this be a call to my improvement in my relationship with Allah? So I think that was the beginning. So I'll let you ask other questions and I take it from there.
Okay. All right. That was quite deep. But
Yeah.
before I ask other question, I would really like you to explain a little bit further on what you meant by. I know you said your third year was when you were able to kind of accept the reality of what you were going through.
Yeah.
But can you explain how? Yeah, you said it was turbulent, but how were you able to manage being in that relationship when your reality was already there for you, but you
Yeah.
still kept on going? How did you do that?
Okay. So for the record, I stayed in my marriage 10 years, despite I identifying or accepting the turbulence in year 3, right? So being able to stay in the marriage, what kept me that long? Do not forget, I said my first question when I accepted my reality was, Allah is angry with me. And I'm a kind of person that my personality and my relationship, how I assess my relationship with Allah, is quite deep for me. Like I could be a perfectionist in everything. Also, I could be a perfectionist in my relationship with Allah. I mean, that's my personal, it's, I know there are some challenges when you are trying to attain perfection, but that's how deep I take my relationship with Allah. So that question, Allah is angry with me, in the bit of trying to rectify what I could have done wrong for Allah to have been angry with me, right? Because my man then was someone I could call a perfect man. Because at times when we have turbulences in marriage, it could be truly you went into marriage with a full affection, with a full hope, with the man you love and everything. right? And something could just make the love wade away, like it just fades away.
Yeah.
My ex-husband then was a definition of a gentle, kind, soft man. So in that bid, I was like, if I am facing anything in my marriage, obviously it is from me, because this man has not done anything to even make me start feeling, indifferent, feeling something is wrong in the marriage. So it was that period that I started seeking what could I have done, right? So I didn't even think there was anything wrong with him. My question was, what could I have done? This guy hasn't done anything to even create that kind of environment, that kind of, that kind of, you're even having an idea of divorce. He wasn't there. He didn't place himself. He has not acted in an unkind way. He has not acted in a brutal way. He has, any some things make the affection in the marriage, fade away. He didn't act in that manner. So obviously it is me something is wrong with. So I think you understand that perspective.
Yeah.
Then at that point, I started, I couldn't talk to it to anyone because I just felt who would understand what I'm going through. Because the first question anyone would ask me is your husband slapping you? Is your husband, So me trying to give them that response that my man is someone like this, I am just the one not having that connection. It obviously means they will look at you like then something is wrong with you. And I didn't want to be judged, but I knew what I was feeling. Whether that feeling was justifiable or not, I couldn't really pinpoint at that moment, but there was a step I took. That was the beginning of my religious growth and spiritual commitment. I'd say maybe I was here, then I took it there. Then my relationship with the Quran started. I mean, I've been reading the Quran before, but there is something I was trying to address. Allah has said that the Quran is a guide and a mercy to those that believe. There
Yeah.
is something in the Quran that should explain my situation. There is something in the Quran that should be able to say, this is what is wrong with you. If no one can understand me, Allah should be able to, Allah knows what is wrong with me. I can't lie about myself. Something is obviously not right about all of this. Then in the quest of trying to, do all that, my relationship with the Quran grew because I didn't just read the Quran. I dived into reading the tafsirs, dived into reading the hadith. I approached the Quran with a mindset of I want to understand what was wrong with me. Then it
Yeah.
was at that point that I realized that a lot of things was wrong with me, a lot of them, because the Quran makes you, it gives you more than you are approaching it for.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if that statement is correct. I'm going
Yes.
for one aim, but it's giving me back things that I could do to fix it. So what kept me in that marriage for that long, despite all of the challenges, is the quest of trying to understand what was wrong with me. And in the quest of trying to understand what was wrong with me, I came across knowledge of the Quran that preaches something that would improve my character. So I was then saying that if Allah can improve my character, if Allah can help me to improve my mindset, then hopefully one day I would be able to get out of all of these issues that was not making me feel present in my marriage, right? Then in the quest of the Quran, I would say, was situation changing? No, but I could see that a better version of myself was building. I was being more forbearing. I was being more patient. I was being more optimistic about Allah because Allah says when you seek Him, He's going to come to you. My first approach of understanding my situation from the Quran kept me in that marriage. I was investing my time, investing everything I had just to make sure that my marriage works. So it's not because I felt there was something wrong and I started acting irrationally towards my man. Even in that period, I improved on my relationship with Allah, improved on my relationship with my husband. Then I hoped, and when I was praying, I was telling Allah, may Allah consider the effort that I am putting, despite my heart being not there. Open my heart for my husband.
Hmm. Wow. So, sorry to cut you there. So, are you, what you're trying to tell us now is sometimes with the way Allah works and the way He does His things, we don't
Yeah.
really actually have to have a problem in a marriage
Yeah.
for the marriage to end.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be from us, and it doesn't mean that we are the problem. We just are not feeling it.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you
And
so much for
it's
sharing that.
also a means at which Allah is calling you. See, when we look at the history of all of the prophets or people of, the people of the Quran, the Sahabas, and all those that Allah has, the Quran has brought to us in terms of the history.
Hmm.
Whenever anyone, Allah intends good for anyone, He places them in a situation, whether comfortable or not comfortable. But the outcome of that situation, if they approach that thing the way Allah wants us to address problems as a Muslim, you are
Hmm.
going to come out of it beautifully. And even while you are in it, that problem won't weigh you down the way it would have if you have not found guidance from the Quran. To me, I'm a person of Quran. Whatever challenge I faced, even before my divorce journey, and that was why it was easy for me to go back to the Quran because it's another part of life. And do not forget, I said that I've always had this mentality that I'm going to grow in life,
Hmm.
playing and acting in different roles as a mother, as a
Hmm.
student, as a daughter, as a colleague, as a wife. So, like I said, just like an actor, if you can put our mindsets in that, we are going to come across these different stages in life.
Hmm.
How are you going to approach this if something goes wrong? If your affair goes wrong as a sister, how would you address it? If your affair has gone wrong as a position where you are a daughter, how would you address it? So that was the same mindset I carried into my marriage. My marriage is not working. It's something is going wrong. How do I address it? I've always been a person of what did Allah say about this situation? Who has faced this thing during the time of the prophet? You understand? Like, who has faced this situation? Am I the first person to face this situation? So, of course, not. If I have not come across that solution, it's because I've not researched enough and I push myself. And that is what got me to an extent of reading the Quran that much, right?
Hmm.
So, my staying in that marriage was out of optimism. Now, would I tell you that there were no emotional or mental breakdowns? Of course, there were.
Hmm.
But I run to sujud, I run to tahajjud, I cry
Yeah.
my eyes out. That is where, because I've not found the answer and I can't tell anyone. So it's still about in those moments, I go back, increasing istighfar a lot. So spirituality was what kept me all through. And reconnecting with Allah made me stay without having to, pour out that frustration in my heart towards my husband. Because if I wasn't kind enough then in that period, there would have been more heat. But I was, in the terms of me trying to understand what was wrong, I was being kind to my husband. And I was using that act of kindness to beseech Allah to come true.
Hmm. Inshallah. Inshallah. So that brings me, I think you answered that question already, but not as deeply as our audience would want to hear. So a lot of people ask me this question: how do I survive this? Like that's the first question that comes to people's mind when divorce happens. And I've heard it, I can't even count. I've lost count of how many times I've heard, how am I going to pull through? Why did he do this to me? Why did she do this to me? Like, how can she or can he do this to me? I don't even know how I'm going to survive it. But from someone who has experienced it, who has survived it, I would like to know what was the hardest part of navigating life after your divorce? And how did you find the strength to move forward? I know you mentioned earlier that the Quran was one of the things, one of the strength, I mean, one of the things you found strength in. But if
Mhm.
you do not mind, I would like you to explain further to encourage our audience that are listening right now.
Well, navigating life moving forward was quite in stages for me. Now, we all come from a culture, I'm a Nigerian, and we come from a culture where divorce is actually frowned upon. And if you recall, I mentioned that even while I was in the marriage, one of the first reasons that couldn't make me express myself about my experience is because of the fear of being judged by my family.
Hmm.
And of course, the other guy was is someone you could almost call faultless.
Wow.
So you need to then
Interesting.
put your position. You would need to go beyond normal to prove to them that you are not just I don't know. There was something that was quite difficult. I couldn't just communicate within the 10 years. So it was just me and my Lord. So navigating life after the divorce, I would say initially it was very difficult because, of course, my parents didn't come out supporting me. And it was still out of the fear of what did this guy do? We've not seen him do anything. He's the
Hmm.
best son-in-law they've ever had. Is the this, is the that, is the this, is the that. You know, and so I would
It's,
start with that.
it's
That it
hard to
wasn't easy.
convince them. Yeah.
I couldn't
It's
convince
hard to
them.
explain.
Yeah,
It's really hard to explain because, like you said, this guy was flawless. Like, of course,
flawless.
he's human, but in terms of you and him, there were really nothing for you to point out to your parents. So it was really hard. You had your
Yeah,
fears, right? Wow.
yeah. So navigating it at that first stage was quite difficult. Then I reached out to my uncle, and that's where healing started from.
Hmm.
Navigating life after divorce was a transformation for me and helped me to understand the importance of family.
Hmm.
Where I am today, my mental balance, my being able to still be able to maintain relationship with my ex,
Hmm.
right, started with my family's acceptance.
Wow.
So Bola is working, Bola is living this, Bola is doing fine. Family support is one thing to underrate. Now, at the initial stage, when all of these things started, I ran to my uncle because he's an Islamic cleric, well learned in Islam. He's late now, late last year. And I mentioned everything to him. The quest of me still trying to understand what was going on in my marriage, even when my husband then was not really it, I discussed everything with my uncle. No, before then, my coming out of the marriage, I was the first time my uncle made me realize that your position is not something that is rare in Islam. So he's saying it. So meaning that you need to first of all get someone that has that Islamic understanding about your situation. Let them help you to navigate, analyze what was the reason you had when you left this marriage. And that was what my uncle initially did. He busted the fact that I was his niece or whatever. He told me one thing. He said, if you have left this marriage with the fear of Allah, wallahi, you would find the aftermath of this journey beautiful.
Hmm.
But if you have left this marriage with an form of injustice or disobedience to Allah, you are going to find the journey of divorce very difficult.
Wow.
Then
Hmm.
he quoted Surah to At-Talaq, verse 2 to, I think 2 to 3 or 3 to 4. I'm not really good with numbers. That if you are obedient to Allah, if you have done this divorce out of the fear of Allah, your journey is going to be beautiful and it's going to take you through all of the phases before any other thing comes your way. Then he started analyzing all of the experiences that I went on 10 years. So the journey starts with getting someone who Allah has blessed with understanding of the deen, letting them assess all of your experiences. Now you've left the marriage. If there were situations where you did not do well, if you have an opportunity where you need to, rectify with your husband, maybe if your husband still wishes for you guys to be together, I'm just saying, It's an opportunity for you to then go back to Allah to seek istighfar a lot. But what my uncle did was it held me by the hand. We are going to analyze the situation. We are going to analyze everything that led to the breakdown of the marriage. Then, if we see that you're leaving the marriage is within the confine of Islam, then we then take you into the what you should be looking out for after marriage. Now, if your journey outside, if your journey had not been within, then we know what to do. Then after all of the assessment, it was not a day's thing. After all of the assessments, he came to conclusion, you were justified. Your decision is within the confine of Allah, as long as Allah has blessed him with the understanding. Whatever excesses, may Allah pardon us. Then the next thing was, how do we approach my parents? Then he still went back to say, if your journey outside this marriage, if you have left the marriage within the confine of Islam, Allah would turn the hearts of your parents to support you.
Wow.
No matter how, he knows my parents are not the religious type, they're the bubbly social type, quite culturally inclined to. So I mean, I'm stating all of these features for you to know how deadly it was before I ran to my uncle. You know, my mom actually said it one time, if you leave this guy, I'm going to disown you. Maybe that could be the height of what everything meant. And I was seeing it like, my parents are not accepting of this. I don't even know what I'm doing. It means Allah is angry with me. You understand? Then it was out of, I think I was just inspired one day to just talk to my uncle about it. Then I went back to him and he said, pray about this. I'm going to join you in prayer. And I tell you that if you have truly done this out of the fear of Allah, there is no heart that Allah does not control.
Wow.
Not to take you all on the journey, then I reapproached my father. I reapproached my mother. I broke down everything the way my uncle has helped me in assessing. And there were some other issues that came up. And wallahi, the first thing my dad said, he said, I knew you were facing all of those things. And I was just praying that you should come to tell me your facts.
Wow.
So I don't want to take so much of your time, but it was more like from that moment, they embraced me. They took me in, looked out for my well-being. My child has always been with them. You know, they took off all of the burden. My mom cooking for me, sending me meals, you know, ensuring that I moved out of my place in where I was staying before so that I can be in a new environment. The family support really made my journey easy because it took a much part of it away. The burden you would feel as a divorcee. So I would always encourage that we should check ourselves whenever we are in turbulence in any affair of our life, including divorce. Assess yourself, seek forgiveness where you've been excessive, and embrace the journey ahead of you. And Allah would guide you. He would raise people for you that matter. Because that family support for me, like 70% of the burden I would have faced if I was just the only one, you know, trying to navigate my life. So I wouldn't tell you that I was being a macho, I was on my own. My family came through for me. And one of the things that I experienced during the divorce, during my marriage, is that I couldn't, my mental state wasn't fine, failing exams upon exams. All my professional journeys, zero. I couldn't even grow at work.
Wow.
I couldn't move forward. No, it was that bad. But I tell you that at the point I left the marriage, my family supporting me.
That made a great impact in your life.
Take that exam, I passed in the 2 diets that was taken in that year.
Wow.
So it just means to let us know that even if we have so many people we can talk to, ask Allah to raise your family for you. even if they've never been close to you. We like doing things in my house. I know how to do my thing. I know how to do my thing. But Allah can change their situation just for you.
Yeah, I agree.
If you have never had the best of relationship with your father or your brother or your sister, do not forget I extended this to my uncle. Ask Allah to raise that help for you. There's a reason Allah has said this person is going to be your mother, this person is going to be your sister, and that other person you're seeing is going to be your friend. There is mercy in family. We only need to realize it. And
Mm,
the strength of mercy and healing Allah has placed in family, or kinship rather, is the reason He has warned us not to sever its ties.
mm,
The blessing of family is beyond monetary purpose.
mm.
There is healing in family. I'm talking from experience. Some other persons might not. But I tell you that if you're having a challenge in your family today and you are facing life problem,
Mm,
approach Allah, for it's supposed to come from your family.
mm.
And you will be glad how that problem is going to look like it's fading. Meanwhile, it is still there. So my family really helped me in navigating. Of course, my spirituality. Do not forget that in the process of the marriage as well, I'd already built my understanding of Islam. Um, while I was trying to understand what was wrong with me. So my parental support, taking off all the judgmental things that would have happened, and she left the house, she left everything, your husband, Allah healed that for me.
Mm.
Then I was able to maintain my mental balance. And do not forget, I said, you are not just in this life as a wife. You are not just in this life as a mother. You are also in this life as a sister, as a neighbor. You are also in this life, even as a mother, you are raising kids. That is your job if you want to be a full-time like housewife. I had other goals in my life that me being a Muslim woman, I had a role as an employee of a company. So if one part of my life is not working, that should not be a yardstick to then make me delay other aspect of my life that Allah has made me find comfort in.
Yeah.
So my
Yeah.
divorce is not working. Does that mean I should carry that destiny into my job?
Mm.
I had to reassess myself. I mean, the Quran made me realize this. The Quran says all matters return to Allah for decision.
Yes.
And the Quran also says, when something happened to you, do not be overly joyful when it is good, and do not be overly sad when it is bad, because Allah has decreed all things. So if one thing is not working in your life, does that mean I should keep halt other things? Are you going to delay the grace, the healing Allah has made you feel? Because when you are sad in one part, if you look at other aspects of your life, you will be able to see that you have a lot of things to still be grateful for.
Mm. True.
Focus on those things that Allah has left for you to be grateful for, while you continue to pray for that part of your life, the marital affair that is giving you a challenge. And in that way, you won't make yourself be overwhelmed with just one out of so many other roles you'll be playing as a Muslim woman.
Inshallah. I like that. I like that last statement. So it's not just about, even if you're married, it's not,
Yeah,
you're not just there as a, it doesn't mean that your everything about your life or you ends. As a wife, as a mom, always remember you're also a sister to someone. You are a
yeah,
daughter to some people. You
yeah,
are a neighbor to someone. You are a
exactly,
friend to someone. And you are most of all the servant of Allah. Wow.
exactly.
So we are like a tree with different branches.
Yes. So because one stem or one branch is bad, my experience, my uncle really mentored my growth before his passing last year. There are so many questions I wanted to ask, and anytime I remember he is no more, right? It makes me cry, because it made me understand the fact that yes, you are one entity, but you have different roles to play in life. So do not make one that is not going well define your life. don't make it defile how your well-being will be, right? So it's all about me understanding that even if my marital life is a mess right now, what other things can I focus on? And it was those other things that were going absolutely smoothly in my life that I focused on, which made life after divorce very easy for me.
Hmm.
And another thing that made it easy was that my ex-husband was more like a friend.
Hmm.
He was kind all through the journey. So there was no, he does what he needed to do. So another thing that I always preach for is that, please, in the life of you, let kindness be the first thing you would look for in a man.
Even in a woman,
Yeah, in a woman. Sorry, I was, yeah. Let
like both,
kindness,
both.
both,
Yeah.
let kindness, because even in the Quran, Allah says He has placed kindness and mercy.
Hmm.
We won't find love in that chapter where Allah says He has appeared to. So we
Yes.
need to look for kindness, because even when you have your arguments, a kind man would extend that kindness even when there are issues.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Sorry, Bolarinwa, do you mind joining me on Instagram Live as well? I think our
Okay.
audience can only see me. I'm going to invite you. You
Okay.
have to stay on StreamYard too, but you
Okay.
join us on maybe with your other device. Yeah. So I'm just going to send you an invite.
Yeah, I think I joined already.
Okay. Okay. Accept. I
Yeah.
just realized that I've been the only one showing
Oh, okay. So
TV. Yes.
it's all about getting your position in life right, who Allah has defined you to be, understanding that not everything in our life is going to be smooth at the same time. And if you look at your current situation,
Sorry, one sec. You're yet to accept. I mean,
okay,
you're yet to join. I really don't know what's going on.
I think I already did that.
Okay, I can't see you here. So I really,
Um, Request to join. Can you see
yeah,
that now? It says my request wasn't sent.
I'm accepting, but I don't know what's going on. You know what?
My
Let me
request,
send you. Is unable to join. Okay, let's leave it. Yeah,
let me see. What about now?
I'm trying to accept it, but it's not going. I don't know why we always run into technical issues, despite all the preparations in the studio.
Yeah. Is it on now?
No, it's not.
Did I
You know
have to
what?
join already?
Oh, really? I don't know if I don't know. I can't see you here, but
Oh,
let's
okay.
keep going. Yeah, let's keep
Okay.
going.
So
Yeah.
it's all about family support, understanding that you have other aspects in your life to focus on. Because even the best thing in your life that is making you happy right now, if you look into every other thing in your life, there is still an aspect of your life that you're praying for. The question is, are you delaying your happiness that you're achieving now just because of that thing? So
It's
that
not
is
going well.
also the way we should see divorce. The fact that your marital affair is not going so bright,
Hmm.
would you want to delay every other area that Allah has blessed you with, or there is a blessing waiting for you, except you reach that status? So to me, it's about family support, being present, having to improve my relationship with Allah, and also embracing other aspect of my life that Allah has blessed me with, that I wasn't having problem with. I was rather focusing on that, and I was waiting for the doctor of healing, which is Allah, to
Hmm.
handle the rest for me.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So another question is, how did you balance taking care of your emotional needs while also managing practical concerns during your divorce? I know you shared that, but I really want you to explain how, at what point did you stop thinking about your marriage and crying? At what point did the tears stop flowing?
Well, lest I forget, I have a child. There was a child out of the marriage. Um, And I'm a kind of person that I'd always want people. I love when you come to me with problems and I'm able to make you to smile.
Hmm.
So I'd say that the moment the tears stopped when I reduced my self-criticisms about I was the one that brought it, I was the one that did this, I was the one that did that, I was the one that broke my marriage, like negative thought of yourself. It
Hmm.
started with me.
Hmm.
I needed to speak with myself. I needed to change how I think about myself.
Hmm.
The marriage itself was exhausting. Like I was a shadow of myself. I don't really like talking about that part because I mean it was as bad as I couldn't even construct an English statement.
Wow.
Maybe you should. Now, I mean, I was failing exams. That one of the things is I had mental block in terms of being able to reason because it felt like I was in a marriage where I was forced into,
Hmm.
and you're being intimate with someone that you're not connected with. So to me, it felt like I mean, I'm just giving you a tip about what you would have felt if you're being forced in a marriage.
Hmm.
And meanwhile, I wasn't forced, but that was the feeling. And you had to live with someone that one way or the other, your paths don't align. Yet it was a kind person. So being able to the experience, I was able to balance it. The tears stopped when I stopped being self-critical with myself, like killing myself over it was my fault, it was my fault. And another thing that I was really getting sorry about was my son as well. Like, oh, I'm going to come out of this marriage and my son is just going to be a product of a separate, like,
Yeah.
um like a broken home, the broken home stigma.
Yeah.
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 So it was one of the things that made me consistently weep about all of these things. And navigating through it was not quite easy because I had to change how Allah thinks of me and not how I think about myself.
Hmm.
I had to go back to my uncle. So it wasn't like my uncle spoke with me once and everything stopped. It was like I had to keep going back for reassurance. And every time I do that, so meaning, even if you have a therapist you're talking to, it is normal for you to bring up topics that you think has been resolved.
Hmm.
It's normal because it just shows how your good parts, because if you feel like you've left a marriage where you had children, your kids are going to be having the stigma of a broken home, you left the marriage, it's not even your husband that told you to leave. It's more easier when when it is the it's husband. I'm not saying it's, but when a woman asks for this, it's more of the
It's
stigma is
tougher.
tougher.
Yeah.
So it's me going back, checking myself, trying to identify why I was crying in the first place. Why does these tears keep coming?
Hmm.
You understand why? Even after I had left, why does it keep coming again?
Hmm.
Right. So it was born out of the fact that I was having guilt
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
those things that it has affected. If I had gone into the marriage without a child, I mean, my ex-husband then was a adult. He's going to take care of himself, but I still felt bad because I didn't request for it. So you needed to understand why you're crying. I think that's the beginning of when your tears will stop.
Hmm.
You need to sit down with yourself and ask yourself, what brings these tears? And that was what I did. What brings me these tears? I was having a feeling about my son is going to be from a broken home, and I have left a man distressed. I'm not going to talk about the other part. I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
mention
Because
what.
I actually have a question around that.
Yes, yes. So
One of the audience would like to. She says, "Did you not feel that you were in sync, like you were not in sync as a couple, or how did you guys meet?" Because she's wondering as she's listening to your story.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say I thought to mention this later, but I think I can bring it in now. Wallahi, the Quran, Islam is complete.
Yeah.
Whatever Allah has asked us to abide with is only for our own benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever He has asked us to stay away from is also for our own benefit.
Mm-hmm.
At times, a breakdown in marriage is not necessarily because the husband and the wife is not doing good to each other or are not doing good to each other.
Mm-hmm.
A breakdown in marriage could actually be from what led, how did you interact, how did you relate before you even married.
Mm-hmm.
The foundation of a marriage breaking, I then realized after I was doing my analysis following this the guest question, is that actually the foundation of how we met and how we found ourselves in marriage was another thing I sought forgiveness for, because it was purely not how Islam would have wanted it. So getting in sync, I would say yes. Perhaps before marriage, you would have thought you were in sync with this person because of the immoral feeling, I call it then.
The
Because of
butterflies.
the butterflies. So those butterflies were not actually butterflies,
Mm.
but they were butterflies because we were not married then. I'm going to marry you. Then we got married, and the reality dawned that was actually not would I say that was actually not a God given type of love. It was a love, it comes from lust, right? That I'm trying to put a perfect word to it, because it was like, in summary, we were not actually connected in the areas that I would have wanted my own man to be, in an area that was concerned to me. I'm a kind of spiritual person. I'm connected to my religion, right? But he, on the other hand, was not. But I thought if I love him, that was all matters.
Mm.
But your
Wow.
personality, I tell you that, and I usually say it, what I have learned in marriage, what I have learned in my experience is that do not ever, in the course of you trying to get married, do not ever overlook that thing that matters to you as a person. If your
Mm.
religion matters to you as a person, do not overlook that when you're picking your spouse.
Wow.
If your job matters to you as a person, you want a man that works, do not overlook that when you are picking a spouse. Because those things are what you're going to be living with for the rest of your life. And if you do not see it there, if that ingredient about religiosity and your commitment, that religious commitment, for me, religious commitment wasn't aligning, aside from the fact that the connection, I realized that as soon as I stepped into the marriage 1, 2, 3 years later, it wasn't what I wanted in a man, right? I think I traded that and just got married. Then the reality dawned when we got married that it wasn't just there. We're not just sinking.
Mm.
So because that religious commitment on his own side wasn't there, he does a lot of things that Islam would normally frown at, because
But
that
he
is
was
not,
a good person still.
yeah, he was a good person.
It's
But
just his religiosity.
that
Yeah.
spirituality was not there. For
Mm, I
me,
see.
I'm just flagging that, but that was not the only it. I'm just flagging that. To me, if
Yeah.
I choose my friends, there is something common across my friends that you would see, and that's the fact that religious wife, we know what we're doing. So why did I do that by overlooking that when I was picking a spouse?
Mm. Okay. So I think I get where the guilt that you had was coming from.
Yeah,
Your spirituality was there, but you
yeah,
got carried away probably by the looks or the vibe of the time.
yeah,
Correct me if I'm wrong. So you just felt, oh, the most important thing is okay. Yeah, he prays his 5 daily salah. Yeah, that's fine. He fasts during Ramadan. Every other thing is fine as long as I love him. But being a spiritual person that you are, during the marriage, you realize that you guys weren't syncing at all. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just trying to explain this so that audience can grasp the whole, they
Even the
understand.
5 daily prayers were not
Yeah.
5. They could be half
But,
of
but
three.
did you not know that? Well, in most cases, most women don't know because as Muslims, we are not supposed to live with our future spouse, right?
Yeah,
We're just supposed to connect. And but if someone tells you they pray, you won't want to doubt them, right? Do you
yeah.
really want to keep, you know, trailing them around to see if they truly pray?
And it was not just only about prayers. For example, to me, my stance about Islam, my understanding of Islam has made me understand that there are some things we shouldn't do, even if every other person does it.
Doing it, yeah.
Right? So those things unfortunately occur every day in our life. So seeing this thing occur every day, it's not so to me, it was just more like I sacrificed what I shouldn't have sacrificed. And that thing I sacrifice is actually what makes me as a person and what I would love to see in my spouse, and it wasn't there.
Hmm. I think this is a big lesson for those who are seeking marriage now. For
Yeah,
them to actually, this to me, I feel that this boils down to knowing yourself, knowing your worth,
yeah,
understanding your relationship with your Rob, knowing that you're not just you on earth, but as a
yeah.
slave of Allah, you have a duty to play, and you will account for it on that day. One sec. Mommy. Yeah, I'll be right back. Keep going, please. Yes, many. Oh. Oops, so sorry, guys. Um, yeah. So please, let's continue.
Yeah. So it's about so it's about do not sacrifice that part of your life that is the most important to you when you're looking for a partner.
Yeah.
We need to understand what matters to us. For me, it's my religious life, and I would want it to be as sweet, even in a partner, so that creates bond. But when that thing that you have that matters to you is not present in your husband, there is no
Hmm.
bond. If, for example, you are the kind of person that loves it for you to pray behind your husband, you pray behind imam, and you've always fantasized about one day I'm going to pray behind my husband. We are going to talk about spirituality. We know what is halal. We both know what is haram. And you bring a man, I'm just thinking from the spirituality now, and you then have a man that is not having all of these qualities, but because your butterflies are sending you away, the reality is that your marriage would suffer for it because this is the person you'll be seeing every day.
Wow.
So the question about what were we not sinking? Yeah, we were sinking maybe with butterflies alone, and the butterflies died in year two or year one of the marriage because the thing
Hmm.
I do every day, it wasn't doing them with me.
Hmm. You
So the
see, sorry to cut you there. You see the fear I have when it comes to choosing a partner. One thing I always, always, always emphasize on is never ever sacrifice your hereafter. when I hear people out of desperation or out of fear of, being becoming too old for marriage, as in, and then they just go ahead and settle for anything, like anyone, compromise their faith. Probably, oh, he's not going to disturb me. He's going to practice his religion. I'll practice my religion. People don't always know that these things backfire. If they don't
See,
backfire on earth, they will backfire on the day of,
you
you
don't need
know,
to wait for
on the day of
hereafter. It
reckoning.
starts backfiring from health. You see yourself as a mother, and you see, and your commitment to your religion, for example, that doesn't even take the spouse thing away. I'm going to bring a practical example. How do you feel when you see when one of your kids or one of your children is not praying?
Yeah, yeah.
There is this anger, because it's not because you are not doing it. You would want the love. Do you know the excitement, the gratitude you feel when you see that your kids are praying? Imagine you as a mother not seeing your kid pray. How do you react? Why do you think you're angry? You would have definitely left the child.
Hmm.
Now imagine you not seeing that in a spouse, and not just praying. Every other thing Islam says we shouldn't do.
Wow.
And this is what you're going to be living with every day. You
Hmm.
understand? Do not forget he's a kind person. But what matters to me might not matter to you. If you're a kind of person now, that's for religion. If you're a kind of person that you've always envisaged your man to be, I'm just citing random examples now. You've always envisaged that. You love it when you're being taken care of. You love it when maybe your dad supports you in this, talks to you, you find friendship in your dad, and that thing matters to you. It matters to you. Then you find a man that butterflies were flying on your head across, but that thing is not there. And you just feel, okay, I love him. That is not the thing you should sacrifice if he doesn't have it.
Because love alone cannot sustain the
It
marriage.
cannot sustain it.
Hmm.
Love is an outcome. Character is the ingredient.
Yeah. Yeah.
If being pampered is what you love, that you've as a person being pampered, but a guy comes and you just love him, and that level of pampering is not there, but because you love him, you went into that marriage. That marriage will suffer for it because you'll be expecting that pampering every day, and he's not capable of giving you.
Hmm.
So the essence is that whatever matters to you, whatever defines your personality, find it in a partner that would even give you more.
Yeah.
Because even if one thing is not working, that thing would not, if that thing that is not working, right? Because some other things that matter to you are working, you would overlook it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But never ever sacrifice that thing that matters to you as a human being. Do not sacrifice that thing when you're choosing a spouse. Make sure it is present in your spouse. So that was why
Hmm.
I said my own marriage took that turn, because from the onset, the butterflies left and I was living in the reality of my own marriage.
Hmm.
And I was looking for the butterflies were not there.
Yeah.
So it's like they left me at the point of when the marriage reality comes in. And that is why I said that the divorce had actually even happened. Maybe I didn't know, maybe right from the point of marriage.
Yeah.
Because there were
Yeah.
some things I saw, but I just thought, and that was why I was like, no, I mean, do not forget, I'm just saying this is just one of it for public
Hmm.
information purpose. That's the only thing I can say,
Yeah.
right? But it's all about whatever you have defined yourself to be.
Hmm.
Make sure that thing is present in your partner.
Hmm.
Never sacrifice it for feelings that can run out of the window. Butterfly flies everywhere.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
can be here at a point and will not be there, but never sacrifice it. So me being able to navigate my emotional life after marriage, of course, I'll go back to it. The family support was there. They allowed me to navigate other aspects of my life that I was growing with. I mean, that is why professionally I am here where I am today. That part of my life was giving me happiness. So they
Hmm.
took up the burden. They made sure they were checking on me, you understand, supporting me in everywhere. And this is like my mom and my dad. I don't have so many friends in my corner. So navigating divorce after all of this emotional, even if I am down, I call my dad
Hmm.
and I talk to you. I call my dad, I call my mom, I call my uncle. They remind me of why I left.
Hmm. Hmm.
And they my uncle most importantly narrates and bring up for me different times of the prophet, that situation like this, because I will not lie to you, it's not like you're only going to be facing one area of emotional trauma after divorce. It comes in different ways.
Yes.
Today it could be my child is saying I want to talk to my dad. The guilt comes
That's
again.
what Nigerians call basbos.
you
It
you
comes
you get
it comes
it
with
comes
different.
in. It's not one issue anytime. See,
Yes.
it comes. Okay, there was a time I'm working now, and a friend of mine, my colleague, came to me, and she was like, they just got a house, blah blah blah, they are no more renting. I'm just saying, they're no more renting, they've just purchased a house. And I now said, it will be easy for you now, should be two streams of income. I'm the only one. How long do I want to save for a deposit? Little things like that
Yeah.
makes you
Yeah. It
think.
gives you memories. It makes you think. It makes you
You
question.
understand?
Yeah. A lot
Then
of
another
things.
one, another one came. Like me and my husband, we are going. He goes, oh,
What will I can imagine.
so your child, mom, I'm feeling bored here. If my dad was here, I'll go home.
Yeah. Or when there is a parents teachers meeting
Parents,
and
teachers,
something like
my son already gave up. He already gave up on me on that. But I had to. And another thing is, as young as my baby is 11, I pray that Allah makes him understand.
hmm, hmm,
And I didn't overlook his emotional need or the impact this would have on him. So understanding from that little age
hmm,
really make things easy for me. I mean, do not forget, in this part now, I've talked about the fact that we are going to play different roles in life, not just as a wife.
yeah.
So how you're going to navigate your emotional needs after that marriage, after the divorce, storms into dissecting who you are in different roles,
Mhm,
right? How have you been able to balance your emotional relationship with your child? How have you been able to fulfill your emotional needs when it comes to your parents, to your siblings, your friends, your neighbor? So I made sure, with Allah's help, that those aspects of my life, my emotional relationship with my kid, my mother, my father, my every one of them, they were all going smoothly. So the only thing that I battled with was ensuring that my relationship with Allah was improving, because I define my emotional well-being by the confine of Islam.
hmm,
How am I being able to please my Lord even after the divorce? Am I
hmm,
doing so? I assess myself every day to just make sure that the fact that I am divorced, right, is not exposing me to a lot of things that Allah wouldn't want. So if when my emotional well-being was rather tied to what have I done to please my Lord today, and what have I done in a way that Allah is not pleased with. If my relationship with my God is good, and I'm ensuring that my relationship in other capacity is being maintained. I mean, it took a lot of
my
things of
relationship
me.
with my God is good, and I'm ensuring that my relationship in other capacity is being maintained. I mean, it took a lot of things of me. God is good. Sorry about that. Go ahead, please.
So it's all about me navigating other roles I was playing as a lady, as a woman, and not allowing my divorce situation be the only thing that will define other aspect of my life.
Yeah.
So it's assessing yourself, knowing that you matter in other places, in other capacity, really made me navigate that situation clearly. And to me, it was all about ensuring that my relationship with Allah is intact.
Hmm. Wow. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing that. I'm just going to skip the next question because you already answered it. So this is a very interesting question that I always ask my guests. How has your view of relationships and love changed since your divorce? Because I know a lot of women after divorce they go, "Oh no, I will never love again. I don't
Yeah.
want to do it again.
I
Oh
think
no,
yeah, you know my case. My case was
I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about it. I want you to say it yourself."
I divorced 2019 officially. And sorry, another thing that made my journey smooth, I forgot, was the support I received even from my ex-husband in terms of raising our kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was easy, so we don't fight. Whatever I want, he does. Whatever his child wants, he does. So there was double love. My son calls his situation, as young as he is, he says, "I received double love." Yeah, as young as he is, and every time he checks on me. So how has the view of relationship and love changed since my divorce?
Mm,
I placed myself in a situation where I said I would never marry again.
I know.
And not because I didn't get proposal, not because there were no intending something that was going to look like marriage, but I mean, it was rather being painful for me because there was no it wasn't clear what people wanted with me, right? So my view about relationship was that if my relationship wasn't working or anything I wanted wasn't coming up, I wouldn't die. But there's one thing that I know helps me to navigate that situation about relationship is that whatever Allah does not want, do not take that step. If a relationship is not going to be built from the step of Allah, do not take that step. Divorce should not make you do things in a desperate way.
Mhm.
Divorce should not define you except you need to be better.
Mm,
Improve your relationship with Allah and every other thing would align.
yeah.
Even
Huh.
the love life would align. See, I emphasize on relationship with Allah because if I stay here to tell you how the Quran has helped me to navigate character.
Mm,
Your character as an employee, your character as a wife, your character as a mother.
mm,
If you pick up the Quran, it speaks to you in that capacity.
yeah.
So I was not even concerned about whether I would get married or not. That wasn't my concern. I was not, I'm not even on any, I'm not going to say this, but I was not even on any looking out or dating platform because
Mm,
I knew that when I improve my relationship with Allah, Al-Wakil is going to help me to navigate those parts of my life that are challenging.
mm,
So navigating relationship and love, I didn't place it about how I viewed love. I placed it about how is my relationship with Allah.
mm,
If I can improve my situation has always been like if something doesn't work out for me, I use it as a yardstick to assess my relationship with Allah. So I did not see marriage is a provision. Marriage is a provision from Allah. Right. So if I can improve my relationship with Allah, then I believe that what I seek, He would give it to me.
yeah.
And what I do not want, I would see it clearly that Allah doesn't want this.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it will always guide you.
Because He would always guide you. There were proposals,
Yeah.
there were intending proposals,
Mm,
but my standard that I said I would never sacrifice. That we need to learn when something doesn't go right in the marriage and you are looking into getting married again. I would always advocate for improve on that thing. Is a wake-up call.
mm,
Improve on that relationship that you have with Allah. See, Allah would help you to navigate things. Different people will come, but if you're not being careful, I never ever changed my view about getting remarried. I just didn't want to get remarried. It did not change. In fact, it improved what I was looking for in a man if I was going to get married. Because I cannot define or limit Allah's mercy when He has not limited it for me because I'm divorced.
Say that again, girl. Because you hear a lot of women saying they do. Sometimes I do understand when women say, I just don't want to do it anymore. I do understand, right? And then also, I see from the angle of not everyone who's been divorced will actually remarry.
Not
Because
everyone, of
sometimes
course.
Allah might have just given you that marriage for the purpose of procreation, just
Yeah,
having kids. Maybe there is a reason why He wants you to have kids, and maybe there is a
yeah,
reason why Allah just wants you to have a feel of what it is like. And sometimes it could be a way of even protecting you, protecting your
yeah.
hereafter on earth, right? But the aspect that I always have a challenge with is like saying because you have an experience with a man in a marriage that didn't end well, you now have to generalize that all men are like this. No.
No, not all men are like this.
I always say,
Um,
see, limit that statement to yourself. It's
yeah,
normal and it's okay if you say you don't think you can do this anymore, or I
yeah,
don't think
which
I
was
want
my
to do
case.
this
Yeah,
anymore. Exactly. Rather than, oh, I'm not going to do this because men are like this. I'm not going to do this because women are like this. So I like that statement when you said when you said that.
I won't be an advocate of do not look out if you want to, but I won't also be an advocate of do not force yourself because your
Yeah.
provisions are from Allah. Get yourself ready
Mm.
for good. If you're asking Allah you want to get married, for example, if you're asking Allah that you want to pass an exam, for example, Allah would not necessarily give you the answer, the questions before the day. You are already preparing, you're reading. That should also be the same thing we should do when it comes to marriage.
Mm.
You want to get married or you do not want to get married, don't zero it out that I won't get married. Didn't want to get married, but I didn't zero it out that I won't get married. But it wasn't just my focus. I was striving professionally and my job was everything that beclouded my head.
So I think you should apologize to those women or that particular woman that was always on your case at that time, that you used to say no, 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 that you used to frustrate left, right, and center. So I think you should apologize to her right now. And apology not accepted.
Yes. So I'm going to apologize. But it's all about I wasn't looking out for and I'm not saying it's wrong. This is just my own view. This is just me. I believe that Allah's my connection and my obligation to Allah matters. My relationship with Allah matters. And that is why I rather focus on that because that is what Allah has placed in my hand. And when Allah knows that marriage is the next bit for me, He is going to do it for me. But I did not stress myself in saying, yeah, Allah, I've not married. People are not coming to me. Men are cheats. Just like the food you're eating, the man Allah will give to you is a provision. And if
Yeah.
Allah has not decreed it for you, are you going to say you stop having a good well-being? So to me,
Mm.
it was all about when I improve myself with Allah and I pray for what I want, Allah will navigate the best course for me. So
Yeah.
the view of relationship and love really changed because I learned never to sacrifice what matters.
Mm.
It navigated what I should be looking for in a man. My divorce did not make me say men are trash. My divorce actually made me open my mind to what I should be looking for in marriage. And it
Mm.
also taught me never to sacrifice what matters to me and what matters to my dean. So it
Yeah.
gives me more clarity about if I am looking for a man, right? This is what I should be assessing.
Mm.
And I asked Allah one particular thing in this period. Make me navigate marriage in the way the Quran has said. Make me navigate the steps that lead into marriage in a way that Allah wants. I would not go into marriage with emotional sickness because I'm desperate.
Yeah.
I would not go into marriage because of I feel my risk is not enough. And when I mean risk is not enough financial. Now, when the financial start coming in, then it means your emotional connection with your man is not there.
Yeah. And I would really like you to emphasize on that point, because a lot of women always believe that with marriage, their financial struggles ends. Yes, Allah has placed men as a provider for you. He has given them that grace to take care of
Mhm.
you, provide, feed you, shelter you, clothe you,
Yeah,
and all of that. But women also always forget that marriage doesn't stop them from praying for their own risk too, from
exactly.
asking Allah for their own wealth as well.
Yeah.
So I would really like you. I know you have your own job right now. You're a professional, alhamdulillah, and you're doing well, alhamdulillah. But I would really like you to, from your experience, I would like you to, share that, emphasize more on that point for women, and especially for those who are yet to be married.
Now, there, I think you already, I was trying not to be very careful not to navigate that part. But I would say, in all sincerity, what has kept me today is because I didn't limit my usefulness in this life to the role of a wife and a mother.
MashaAllah.
There is one dua I usually make. I said, Labbaik, I called it from one dua, and it's Labbaik wa sadaik, wal khairu kullu'u biyadaik. Oh Allah, I am here at your service. The first time I came across that dua, if I am here at Allah's service, I'd ask Allah, use me generously for your service. So I learned you need to place yourself in a position where Allah would use you as a service.
Yeah.
When I'm asking Allah to use me generously as a service, then I thought to myself, Allah has used me as a service to be a mother and being able to train my child. Is that the only thing I want Allah to use me for as a service? Oh, Allah, use me for your service. Being good to my husband. Is that the extent of the service that I'm asking Allah for?
Mm.
Are there no other men? Are there no orphans? Don't we have widows that won't even have an opportunity? Don't we have women that would never marry? Is that the extent of the service that I want Allah to use me for?
Wow.
So if I want Allah to use me as a service, I'm a daughter. To be able to provide service to my parents, rewarding them for how much they've invested in me and my siblings. Is it just calling them and saying, Mom, Michelle, are okay? Or are you fine? Are you this? The older our parents get, the more their health deteriorates. And there are some things they will retire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that the extent of the service that I want Allah to use me for? So what I am trying to say is that when we wake up and we realize there is one thing I thank Allah for every day, which carries after the family support, I can confidently tell you that another thing that has given me clarity in being able to define what I want in a man is the fact that Allah has not placed my need in the hand of anyone.
Alhamdulillah.
Financial independence gives you clarity and an objective decision and assessment.
Mm.
Now, I am not saying that it needs to be in billion. Whatever Allah has apportioned to you as provision, you only need to define your need in the confine of this.
Mm.
Being financially independent helped me to be able to navigate clearly what I want in a marriage. Being financially independent helps you to be able to extend the grace Allah has given to you to others beyond being a wife and a mother. Now, I'm not saying that your job necessarily have to be going out working for someone, but I think we need to reemphasize the fact that financial independence can also start even when you're doing something in your home.
Yeah.
Financial independence helped me to take my time in healing, because my risk was not through begging of others to come through me, or was not through, if I don't marry this man, I would not be able to meet my needs. If I don't do this, so like you're marrying out of financial desperation. So I would actually advise and navigate that we should, as women, try to make ourselves relevant beyond being a wife and a mother. Get a skill that would help you to serve others confidently. When you're financially independent, you don't know what Allah has done for you. There's even a dua the Prophet says we should be making after every dua, after pray, after the last taslim. And one of the interpretation of that dua is that may Allah not place you to be in need of men. Because when you are in need of men constantly, you will do some things that ordinarily you wouldn't have done.
Men here means human in general,
Human in
not
general.
gender.
Yeah.
Before
You
people,
will do
before
some
people
things
don't
that
get confused.
ordinarily you won't do if Allah has not placed you in that situation, or if you have not found yourself in that situation.
I agree. I agree because a lot of divorced women that I know, the things they do, the things they achieve, especially when they have kids. Sometimes I wonder if, of course, if they have a spouse, it might be a lot easier,
Of
right?
course.
But the things they do when mostly when I'm with my clients and they complain, I I rather than complain, I tell them to channel that complaint into appreciating Allah, into gratefulness, because you are here. If you were married, let's assume you're still married. I'm sure you
Mhm.
wouldn't even know the level of the strength that Allah has blessed you with. You wouldn't know your
Exactly.
strength. You wouldn't know what you're capable of doing. And
At all.
you wouldn't also know your tolerance level of life
Exactly.
trial, right? Because you think that, okay, with my husband, everything is it. Sometimes
Mhm.
Allah test us with our marriage just to rediscover ourselves.
Mhm.
Sometimes it tests us just to know how blessed and powerful Allah has made us in
Yeah.
terms of taking charge of some things in
Yeah.
this working life, right? And
Mhm.
also sometimes it tests us to show how much He loves us.
Yeah.
Because when women complain a lot, I realize that when you complain too much, it turns into self-pity. And if
Yeah.
you're unable to come out of it, you become a redundant to yourself, even to your children.
Yeah.
You become really you won't be useful to yourself
Mhm.
and to your community at large. You start to wallow in, oh, he left me, he left me. He left you because Allah has made it so. You also left him, right? Because he left
Exactly. That's
you.
what I used to say. It takes you didn't leave
Yeah,
you.
it
You
takes
also
two
left
people to
him.
do that, right?
Yeah. I
You
don't.
left him, you didn't
Yeah.
cling to him. You also left, right?
Yeah.
He's doing something. Sometimes when men get divorced, they get remarried as quickly as as quick as you can even imagine. Women, we take our time because we don't want to go through that again because it takes a lot of emotional toll on us, right?
Mhm.
But for me, I always say, while this is happening to you, why not rediscover what you're capable of doing? Rediscover
Yeah.
that talent, that skill, that blessing that Allah has, that gift that Allah has blessed you with. Rather
Yeah.
than sit down and say, For me, I always say the real divorced single moms are the real MVPs because what they do, sometimes I wonder if being married can actually be more than that, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I just wanted to say that to encourage women who are listening right now. Just
Yeah.
see yourself as a blessing. See your trial
I mean,
as
exactly.
a way of
We are an embodiment of different capacity. The prophet was a prophet, yet he
yeah,
was a husband.
yes.
He was a father.
Said
He
yes.
was a friend. He was a mentor.
Yeah.
As a woman, you are also you're a woman, you're a servant of Allah, you are a mother, you are a sister, you are an employee, you're a business owner, you are a friend, you are a neighbor. How do you want to serve Allah in all of these capacities?
Exactly. Exactly.
How do you want to, why should you then restrict yourself that your usefulness is only when you are a wife?
Right. Yeah. 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 Even as a mom, it's not limited there.
I am currently, I've signed up my son for different charity programs, including animal welfare, because I want him to realize that your benefit to me is not just to be because you're my son. I want you to be relevant in all aspects.
Yeah.
So that
Yes.
when one aspect of your, may Allah not make it happen, if my relationship with you at a point in life is shaky,
Um,
I want you to realize that there are other places you can channel your strength to. And
yes.
maybe compassion can go into your heart in that moment, and you'll be like, I need to get in touch with my mom. May Allah not make our relationship be severed.
I
But
mean,
I have enrolled him into different charity programs such that I want you to serve people. I want you to serve Allah, because Allah has not just made you on this earth as my son.
yeah. Yeah.
Allah has made you my profession. I do tell Allah that my profession, one of the things they asked me was that one of the things they asked me then was that, why do you want to join my firm? I don't want to mention.
Of course. Yeah.
And one of the things that I knew blew my interviewer away was that I said, I don't see my job as a means of livelihood alone.
Hmm.
I see my job as a means of serving people.
Yeah.
Then she went further. She said, how do you mean? Of course, auditing means you're auditing the financial statements that other users are going to rely on to make decision. And if you
Yeah.
have done something wrong, if you have not audited well, right,
Yeah.
it's going to be like you have made an error that thousands and trillions of people is going to rely on. But when you have audited well, you are helping them to channel, you know, their analysis of whether I should make this investment decision or not.
Hmm.
Now, in the course of also you auditing, you are also trying to detect how maybe the owners of the company have defrauded the company, the public. So you're saving people. It's not just to me. That's why even the current challenge that I'm seeing in my job right now, the current challenge that I am facing, the drive that I am serving people makes me overlook it.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
fact that something coming out of that job, Allah is using me as a service for others, makes me have more optimistic view about it.
Hmm.
Because if my course or if my aim is just to be an employee, I'm
Will
just to
make
get
me.
my salary and get out.
Hmm. Yeah.
But what keeps me is because through this risk that Allah has channeled for me, right? I am being of service to him in capacities that I never even ever thought of in my life. So
Hmm.
do not restrict yourself, as your usefulness on earth is not just being as a wife. Even if you're divorced, Allah has placed in you so many capacities and strengths that you can channel in being service to him in others. So focus on that. And when Allah knows that your risk is going to come through a husband, come in a way that will be much more pleasing to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Right.
agree.
So financial independence is not just about you. It gives you clarity. It gives you more available opportunities for Allah's pleasure to come to you.
Hmm.
So don't dwell in, I'm going to marry this person or I'm going to marry that person because of financial body. Equip yourself.
Hmm.
I mean, Allah make it easy. I know it's not easy. The economy in every country is not smiling right now, but financial independence is healing.
It is.
I don't know
Yes.
about anyone, but it was
I
healing for
agree.
me.
Yeah.
I had clarity about what I wanted. And
Yeah.
my parents were happy to support me because they know, even if when I cry, not like when I cry, when I mentioned to my dad then that I'm not, he said, he tells me, he said, see, what you have, I think you should focus on what Allah wants you to focus on. It's going to help you navigate others. That statement I will never forget. You are finding it easy now. Look into what makes you happy. This financial independence is what Allah has equipped you with, despite the fact that your marital life is not balanced or is not where you want it to be. If Allah knows that that is the next focus in your life, it's going to come unplanned.
Yes, I agree. I agree. I have a question here.
Yeah.
Someone is asking, she said, first of all, I want to say congratulations for having that support that you needed when you needed it the most. What advice would you give to someone who does not have such support? Wow.
That takes me to, I'll take you through a period in time. Allah says He is the wali of those that believe. Allahu waliyul ladina amanu. When you feel you do not have the support that you need, I'm thinking maybe family is not supporting you, which is mostly most case, because most times when we have family support, it takes a lot of things off us.
Yeah.
So let's say family is not supporting you. There was a time when I was in Nigeria, I moved from Lagos to Abuja. Now, navigating life in Abuja, to me, I didn't know anyone, but I was still passing through that emotional imbalance because do not forget, I got finally divorced in 2019, right?
Yeah.
Then, moving to Abuja was like, I think 2021, if I can remember. Now, my parents were not there with me. Although, yeah, virtually they will call and do everything. I'm trying to go to that question. Then I realized that the support I had when I was in Lagos, my friend, my mom coming to check on me, I didn't know the weight of that until I moved to Abuja. I didn't
Wow.
know how much it was. Do you know at the point I was saying that don't come again, just call, I didn't know that took 80%. As sending me food, me having had to gist with, you were in Canada, you were not there. A lot of people, my friends were based in Lagos. They will come to check on me and all sorts. Now I'm talking about physical support, and I'm going to go back to, emotional support, even if that physical support is not there. Then I did something. I got to Abuja. I didn't know anyone. Is it possible for me to be talking to my friends over the phone 24/7 or over, it's not possible. Then when it dawned on me that I was alone, then it made me realize that I have not fully healed, but I don't have people to talk to anymore. I call, but it wasn't fulfilling. It
Yeah.
was like in Lagos, I was here and I got to Abuja, it was
Yeah.
going
Just like
down. New environments, new job.
and
It's not like I can just vex to take a car and get out. Then I did something.
you
I
refuse to
was
come to
reading,
Canada.
I can't come to Canada. Then I was reading the Quran one day. Then I saw this verse. Allahu waliyul lazina amanu. You know? Then I went back to it. Like, why is this thing drawing an attention? Meaning that, and the end of the verse also ends with like Mola, when Allah is an excellent helper,
Yeah.
then I observed 2 rakah. I complained to Allah about the fact that I didn't have support. Now, this you can do, that I'm lonely, that emotionally distressed. I thought I had healed when I came to this place. It's like the support wasn't there anymore. I will go back to the lady that mentioned, what would you do if you don't even have a family you can talk to? The same situation applies. Then in my sujud, I used the name of Allah Al-Wali. And I used the name of Allah Al-Mawla. Ya Allah, raise your strong support that I need for me. There's a reason this person is present in your life at a particular time, and there's a reason this person is not present in your life at a particular time. The only thing you can do to gain anyone's support, no matter how difficult your relationship with that person has been before then, is to ask Allah to give you a means of support.
Hmm.
Support definitely might not be from family. I mean, what if you're an orphan and you're listening to this show? You don't even know your family tree.
Hmm.
And there's a reason why you are in a neighborhood at a particular point and why you are not in another neighborhood. The only means of support, and if you trust, this is with certainty. I prayed with certainty because do not forget, I've been emphasizing my relationship with Allah, right? Your relationship with Allah would help you to know that there is absolutely nothing you cannot ask Allah for and He will not come for you.
Yeah.
When you get to that height of perception of Allah, I asked Allah to provide for me a support that would heal me, a support that would help me to navigate that He is there with me. Just that assurance, just that need. And wallahi, by the evening of that tahajjud that I made, I received a call from a friend that we only met within 6 months when I was in Lagos. She came to do an internship in my firm. She was a Muslim, right? She was a Muslim when she came to my firm 2016. I'm talking about 2021 now.
Hmm.
But while she was there, even on her exit, she wrote me a letter appreciating my personality, appreciating how I've been with her. Not even 6 months, 3 months. Not knowing after that duha, but we were quite close because she was a Muslim, a practicing one. And I mean, we're close because like she was practicing. I made that dua in the evening. I was deteriorating. I could not call my parents. I didn't want them to start feeling bad that they left me to travel.
Wow.
And wallahi, by the day of that night I made the tahajjud, she stumbled upon me on Instagram. She collected my number. Mariam was just living 3 houses away from my house.
Wow.
And since then, she introduced me to her family. She took me places because I was in Abuja. See, I'm just trying to say that if you feel you don't have the support, wallahi, you've not asked Allah enough.
Hmm.
You have not asked Allah enough. Your support is there because Allah has not made you a loner on this world.
Hmm.
Even the friendship that we maintain is a provision from Allah. When you find yourself having a good friend that you're always happy with, is a provision from Allah. Ask Allah to provide you the support that you need. Allah has established Himself in ways. He has created. He has defined Himself by the fact that we know Allah's 99 names doesn't mean that is who Allah is. There are still some things we'll know about Allah when we get to the day of judgment.
Yes.
He has only revealed to us the features that we feel as a human being we can relate with. I was reading the Quran and I said, Allah is the wali of those that believe. He's a friend. Then raise for me a friend that would help me to grow with you, that will help me to navigate this journey. So we have support. We have just not tapped into that grace that Allah has established for us. And I feel that whatever you are lacking right now, you have actually not tapped that grace that is waiting for you, that Allah will respond to you. I didn't even know that she was in Abuja. I mean, she was just she at times she walks to my house and she took me, introduced me to our family, so our family became the mother and father that I needed when I was in Lagos. So it's quite important that I am a kind of person that believes that whatever challenge comes your way, it's a means for Allah calling you to seek Him. Know me through this challenge. Appreciate who I am. If you're finding it difficult to have a good friend, if friendship is your own trial, talk to me. I would give it to you. Call upon me and Al-Wali. I know the friend that is good for you because I am your first friend. I am Al-Wali. Al-Mawla, I am your supporter. I know who best to raise a support for you. It might not necessarily come from your parents. It might not necessarily come from your sibling. Ask Allah to provide that thing, that support that He wants for you, that will be a means of healing for you. So I hope I've been able to address it. Pray to Allah, express your complaint to Allah. If something is feeling so desperate for you, not that you cannot resolve, it's a means. The fact that you are still finding yourself in that trouble is because you have not maybe researched enough about who your Lord is and how you can then seek Him when you find Him.
Yeah. I have one question here.
Okay.
So she said, Salam alaikum. Kindly help me ask the sister how to manage fears in wanting to try again. I'm not sure if this question is clear to you, but yeah, she wants
Okay.
to know how to manage fears. I don't know. Please, you can rephrase your question if I'm not clear. If what I'm about to say is not the question. I believe in wanting to try again. Maybe the fear of I don't want to be divorced again.
Yeah, of
I
course.
don't know who the right guy is. I don't know. Yeah, but if that's not
I
your
think
question, feel free to rephrase it, please.
yeah, I think it's very clear, and then I'd tell you that navigating, it's a good thing. I'd first of all like to congratulate the
Feel free
sister.
to
I'll first of all like to congratulate the sister because the question shows that you still have hope.
Hmm.
It's a good perception you have about Allah, but the human limited knowledge about the future is what we are trying to address. So I would say that Allah has helped you to be able to. I think you even first of all need to be grateful to Allah. Thank Allah for not giving up. The only thing we just need to address is fear. Now, I'm going to answer that question using another perspective to life.
And I have another question for
Yeah.
you as well after this.
There is absolutely nothing. Allah says He is the alim al-ghaibi wa shahada. Our tomorrow is in the hands of Allah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Allah says in the Quran, no one knows what he would hand tomorrow. Although, yeah, it could be tomorrow could also mean hereafter. And no one knows what is left for him as gift as well, if you've
Yeah.
done good.
Hmm.
I'm going to bring it back to, let's say you're interviewing for a job, right? And you're being optimistic that that job is going to be good. Does that necessarily mean Allah has shown you that this is how the job is going to be good to you? There is something that has formed your perception that this job is going to be good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we then think that that perception should not be extended to a good cause? You are not going into that marriage to go and you are not going into a relationship for fornication purpose. You are not going into a relationship as a side chick. You are not going into a relationship in the form of adultery. You are going into what Allah has established for you. The same way you are going into that job, hoping for Allah's provision. Why should you then think that you should be more pessimistic when it comes to that marriage and you are optimistic when you are going into a job that you don't even know how sustainable it will be?
Yeah.
Because everybody hopes that when I get to this job, it's going to give me better pay. But what if something happens? And I'm a first-hand experience, right? Something could happen and the license of your company could be withdrawn. It's not even that they will sack you. It could be that the business stops and everybody goes to their house. Yeah, it could happen in business too. Even it's not even only license withdrawal. It could also be anything like they just don't want you anymore, which is even closer to divorce when your husband said he doesn't want you anymore. Right? So why did we go into a new job hoping that it will give us a better, whatever you're going into that job for, and you were fearful that that marriage might not work? You don't want to have the fear of divorce. So first of all, the first thing is having a good view about Allah. Changing your perspective that you're going to make this thing work. Having that clear conviction that if you're taking this step because of Allah, that Allah would help you to navigate it even when things are doing like this. So, but it starts with, like I said, improve your relationship with Allah. Define what defines you as a woman. What do you want in a marriage? Do not sacrifice that thing that matters to you the most. So if you, in that way, when you've done it, it's just like a feasibility study before you go into any projects. What happens when things fail? Why do you think companies are leaving? Is it because there are no risk facing them? They are only managing the risk. Yeah. The moment that risk becomes severe, then you see them withdrawing from business. So the first thing is, for someone that has a fear of marriage, I would rather say, define your fears, list them out. What are those? If you at times we just create fear in our hearts, and the moment you know you have a problem is if you cannot define that fear. Try to put a definition to those things that make you scared, just like an exam. Oh, would you say because you don't want to fail, you won't go to school? So then you now say, okay, I don't want to fail. If I go to school now, there's probability that I will fail. My sister, what is that thing that will make you fail? The first thing that will make me fail is if I don't read or if I don't prepare. The same thing, what is that thing that is giving you fear of going into that marriage? Oh, the fear that this man might not find me attractive, or the fear that this man could, So what is that thing that will not make you feel attractive to your husband? I used to tell people this thing: beauty is beyond physical.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
When I was praying for a spouse, I asked Allah for something. Make my spouse be well pleased. Hello, you see that?
Yes, I am.
Make my spouse be well pleased with every part of me, even the most ugliest parts. Do you understand? Contentment is very important. So I'm just using the aspect of beauty to define, like, okay, is it like he's not going to find me attractive enough? Then ask Allah to give you nur that your spouse will continue to see in you, no matter the stages of motherhood that you are passing through. That's number one. Then another thing, what could make my marriage fail? You understand? For example, this question is going to be easy for you if you are once married. It's going to be very difficult for a newly married to answer. But Allah has given you a platform where you can draw your experience. For me, I have been able to define what could make my marriage fail. And it started with, mine started with sacrificing what I ought not to have sacrificed.
Yeah.
Secondly, it also started with the fear of being judged. My sister, improve your relationship with Allah. Tell Allah what you want. Go back to the 99 names, improve the Quran, improve your relationship with the Quran. And I tell you that nobody has the answer to where they will be tomorrow, no matter how well you prepare.
Yeah.
But just make sure that your intention of going into that marriage is good. I can tell you firsthand, perhaps if I didn't face the turbulence in my marriage, I would not be at the level of relationship that I'm maintaining with my Lord right now. Meaning, in every situation a Muslim finds he or herself, it is for his own good if you look beautifully into it. If you look beautifully, do not forget I said that my intention of even trying to pick up the Quran to read was just for one purpose, to try to understand why I was facing it and see what I came out with. I came out full blown about understanding how Allah wanted me to worship him.
Yeah.
So in summary, define your fears, ask Allah to help you to be able to identify your problems, and that's the beginning of your solution. And then try to identify how you can resolve it, and yet is al-Jabbar. Then still ask Allah to bless you in how you can rectify it, because solution and problems can only be resolved by Allah. So me going into a new marriage now, I did not have built my relationship with Allah to an extent that is good for me in my present life. And when Allah wants me to upgrade, some other things will happen that will take me to that level. But currently, I've been able to identify that fear is actually abstract. Fear, as for a Muslim, should be like a calling. Allah is yearning for you to come and talk to him.
Hmm.
Is an opportunity for you to express yourself to Allah. Do not just abort the fear and make good things go away. Define it. Speak to Allah about ask Allah to help you identify it, because absolutely no one knows where tomorrow will take them.
Yeah.
But what if that and if you read Surah to At-Talaq, do not forget Allah says, and if you obey him, that verse my uncle emphasized, and if you put your trust in him, I'm going to provide for you from sources that you could never imagine. So meaning, take that step out of the fear of Allah and good things will await you.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
Right? So he said, I will provide for you. He said, but the condition is obey me. Do things the way I want it. Take the step towards marriage the way I would want you to take. And if you can do that for me, who is the best to fulfill promises? Allah said is the best to fulfill promises.
Yeah. And he
He
never
said, and
tells.
I will provide for you from sources you could never have imagined. It's not only money. Grace will come for you because you took that thing with the fear of Allah. And another thing is, do not sacrifice the requirements Allah has asked us to take when it comes to seeking a spouse. Don't manage it. It's not manageable, because Shaitan knows how to use those things that we manage to now make them big in the course of that marriage.
Yeah.
That thing you sacrifice, and he
might be
knows
doing love, secret love sharing.
exactly that thing you sacrificed, and it matters to you, is going to be the material thing that will not make you enjoy that marriage.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
It starts becoming irritating to you.
Yeah, yeah.
So, in summary, seek Allah, ensure that you are taking every step towards that thing. Then leave the rest to Allah. Wa hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil.
Okay, so I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back on your journey, can you
Yeah.
share how your experience with divorce influenced your perspective on love and relationship? I know you've answered a part of that, but
Sorry,
how
it
did
influenced
your perspective on love and relationship? I know
Okay.
you've answered some part of it, but I have like the last part of it that will make it clearer. How did it shape your approach in your new relationship?
Oh,
And were there any
did I drove
specific
there?
lessons?
Did I draw that I have a new relationship?
Yes. And were there any specific lessons or realizations that guided you in finding love again? I know back then, if I can remember clearly, I know you used to be this very stone cold ice cream in Abuja. I know you used to be, this very robotic kind of, when it comes to love. Because I knew you then, that I know that you have a lot of love in your heart to give, but you were always like, and I know you never at some point searched. You were just, so nonchalant and careful. I used to be afraid for you then. But now I can see the glow is there, the radiance, everything. And I know one of the major influence is your relationship with the Lord. I mean, Allah continue to make you better than what we know you to be. But how has this, were there any specific lessons or realization that guided you into saying, okay, you know what? I think I'm gonna give this person a try. Love is not also all that bad. After all, I've never ruled it out. What influenced that sudden change? Because for me, even I was wild. I was in awe of what Allah can actually do. Like, Allah do change people.
Yeah,
And
an example, right? Okay.
so
Yeah, for me,
what were the realizations for you?
well, like I said, for me, I retraced my step.
Mm,
I can say the best of teachers today are those that have made the worst of mistakes.
yeah.
I made mistakes, and maybe then my mistakes depressed me because I thought Allah hated me for them. But I can say my mistakes were my strength.
Mm,
My mistakes were my source of clarity, and my mistakes were my source of definition of what I wanted in a man.
Mm.
So I am grateful to Allah while I still sought forgiveness for them. There is blessing in divorce because Allah is like, the only place you would go and you would never come back is when you die.
Yeah.
But with divorce, you are not dead, but Allah has kept you alive to still have another opportunity. Meaning, take from your mistakes, learn from them, and define what you want. You'll be at an edge that a newly married doesn't have.
Mm.
Like I said, death is the only thing that would not make you have another opportunity to come back to life.
Mm.
The way you would approach your marriage, the way you would define your next marriage, if you are someone that is critical about yourself, your ex relationship would help you to define what you should be looking for. And someone that came into a new marriage with butterflies or doesn't have focus.
Mm.
So to me, my divorce was a blessing. It was an eye-opening situation. It improved to a greater extent my relationship with Allah. And because I knew to a greater extent, to the extent that Allah has blessed me with understanding of the religion, I then know what I should be looking for in the process of even trying to get married. And in my waiting period, it also helped me in defining how I should wait.
Wow. Because a lot of divorced women, older women, mature single women don't actually know how to wait.
It helped me in knowing how to wait.
Yeah.
And I was waiting in bliss.
I know. I can testify.
And I was waiting, knowing that, Al-Wakil is the disposer of affairs, going to handle it for me. Ya Allah, my job is the most important right now because this is the only thing you have brought to my disposal.
Yeah.
It helped me, and that was why I said, Allah helped me in waiting because He helped me to realize that I am an entity, but with different roles. So the fact that I have not gotten married, right, did not make me flourish in other areas. And maybe if I did not flourish, maybe my husband wouldn't see me.
I know, right?
I tell him facts. If I have waddled in worry, whatever captured his heart, right? Maybe I wouldn't have even put myself in that position.
Yeah.
So my relationship with Allah, my perception about who a divorced woman in the sight of Allah, is it the same way? Is the world stigma about the divorced women? Is that how Allah has truly defined me? Or do I want to be carried? Do I want to be valued? Or do I want to be assessed the way Allah has defined the divorced women? Allah released the surah to At-Talaq for divorce. Do you think He doesn't care about you? How has Allah defined who a divorce? So all those things define my well-being, my positive mindset in my waiting period. I didn't get bothered.
I know.
I didn't get bothered.
But some of us suffered it.
Yeah, I know. And you, my friends, you're part of my friend. I mean, you're my closest, and you're like, are you not getting bothered? I said, see, I'm not bothered because I know it's a provision from Allah. I usually go back to reassess how I left my marriage, and I want to be sure that it is within the confine of Islam. And when Allah says that it is within the confine of Islam, and He has promised me that if I do things the way He wants me to be done, He wants it to be done, that He will provide for me from sources He would never have imagined.
Yes.
So why should I fear? So it starts with taking Allah as your friend, knowing what He wants, building that relationship, so that when turbulence comes, you know your friend is going to stick with you through thick and thin.
Yeah. And Allah came through because
And
He actually provided from sources we were not even expecting. Oh my goodness. Just have that trust, have that absolute trust in Allah, have the tawakkul. And Allah
I think exactly. It's going to, I hold on to Allah. If you promise me, Cass, that Bola, if you do this thing tomorrow, I'll give you one stick sweet.
I will not even give you.
I'll be more optimistic because I know you're a truthful person. So if Allah has then promised in the Quran that if
Yeah.
you do so thing in my way, if you decide to separate in the way I want, I'm going to provide for both of you in places you would never have imagined. Is not Allah meant to be trusted and the promise of sweet you will give to me?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's about knowing that Allah is the truthful one, is al-haq. Whatever he has promised in the Quran. So all of this healing starts with knowledge. It starts with the knowledge about the Quran. My focus, and I just felt that maybe if that divorce has not happened in my life and I got divorced, maybe I would have gotten divorced 5 times because I wouldn't know how to navigate life.
Hmm. Yeah.
You understand? So it starts with me not understanding what the Quran says about how we should approach divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding your relationship, why Allah, knowing that divorce is not a stigma. Allah has said it in Surah Al-Hadid. He said, do not rejoice over what he has given to you when he gives you something of joy. Do not be boastful. And when something bad happens, do not be sad. He said, why? He said he has decreed it even before you existed.
Yes. Yeah.
And as a Muslim, when Allah is telling you that this thing, I've written it for you, you just navigated your life through it, then trust that it would come for you. So my waiting period granted me clarity because I was not focused on worry. I was focused on my provision will come when Allah decrees it. But am I flourishing in other ways? So being able to take lesson from my divorce, the lesson I took from my divorce is being able to define my new relationship. I'm not old in the relationship yet, but I can tell you that I have clarity in what I want and what I do not want. And I also learned the art of communication. I think one of the things that really killed my marriage then is keeping things to yourself. My communication improved in terms of me addressing issues timely and also being able to talk to Allah about it. I see Allah as a friend. That the name Al-Wali is something I take close to my heart. I don't even pray like I'm talking to. I pray like I'm talking to, like I can see Allah in front of me. So I'm not being formal with him at that point when I'm facing issues. So it's all about in your waiting period, wait the way Allah wants you to wait. Don't focus on the problem. Allah has made you single or in that period for a purpose, and know that it is for good.
Yeah.
If it is not coming true, channel your strengths towards other activities and use that activity to beg Allah. So it's very important that we improve our relationship like I said, I'm always emphasizing on relationship because your relationship with someone will define how swift they can respond to you. Your relationship with someone will help you to know what that person likes and what doesn't like. And in this reference, I think the relationship with Allah would help you to navigate that process in your life, right? In a way that is easy on you. And people would not even know you have a problem. So my new relationship is being defined by ensuring that even how did I get into that relationship? Ordinarily, maybe in my previous marriage, there were haram communication. There were a lot of, around this, around that, living a careless life. So the marriage, was there even a marriage? That's what I then said. Like, if I have
Let's be clear. It was not a careless life. It was just in terms of your religion.
yeah, my religion, exactly. Yeah,
Let's
exactly. In terms of
answer.
religion, I neglected and overlooked, and
Yeah.
butterflies left me at the point of the door. So, do you understand? So, it's more about ensuring that even when you want to go into that marriage, my current relationship is when I look back and I see, I mean, I am is just a new one, and I see like, okay, this might be an issue. Then it takes my mind goes back. Have you entered into this relationship the way Allah wanted you to go into it?
Yeah, you
If my
question
found
yourself again.
you
Yeah.
question yourself, and I say, oh, yes. And have you finalized your marriage the way Allah wanted you to finalize it? I answer yes. Then Allah is resolving it for you, Ya Jabbar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you taken a spouse by the definition of who Allah wants you to as in Allah has not said that Kola is going to be your husband or Tola or Henry. Allah was only giving you a description about who you should look for in a spouse.
It's so bad, though. You did not even mention any Muslim name. Kai, Allah Akbar.
Do you understand? I
Muslim
no,
brothers
to me, to
they're
me, no,
in
it's
trouble.
not even about the Muslim
No, I'm just
brothers.
kidding. I was just kidding.
It's not even about the Muslim brothers. To me, character and kindness was what I
Yeah.
was then looking for in a man, because I know when you're kind and I have a kind heart, the love grows.
Yes. Yes.
And I approached my marriage in a way that I did not leave out one single thing that matters to Allah when it comes to choosing a spouse.
Hmm.
And even the person that was coming to me to propose maybe understood that process and did not even ask me to be his girlfriend.
Hmm.
All in the name of familiarity.
Hmm.
And assessing him in terms of religiosity, yes, is there. Character is important to me. And goodness is always been a friend, right? So, but it's quite important to me that my foundation into my marriage is good, so that even when the worst thing happens, Allah's mercy is still awaiting. And that addresses the other lady's fear about fear. Even when the worst thing wants to happen, Allah's mercy is still going to await you, because you have entered into that union out of the fear and obedience to Allah.
Yeah. MashaAllah. All right. Thank you so much. I think we've spent almost 2 hours here. It's been an interesting conversation. Alhamdulillah. I just have one last question for you, which
Yeah.
is a question I always ask my guests, because each of these guests, of my guests, have their unique ways that they went through their divorce and came out of it. And so the advice is always different, and it resonates with our audience as well differently. So, what is the one message you would like to leave with women who are feeling hopeless or overwhelmed by the end of their marriage? Because that happens a lot.
I would say, first of all, it's allowed. This life is not Jannah. At every point in time, we would feel pain. Pain in the capacity as a daughter, if your parents hurt you. Pain in the capacity of a mother. I mean, if your kid hurts you. Pain in the capacity of a friend, if your friend hurts you. So likewise, when something has happened in your marriage, you would also feel pain. So it is normal. It is not abnormal. First of all, I would always say, in your waiting period, when all of these things are fresh, know that you were not an adult in a day. Meaning, embrace the process. When the moment of pain comes, embrace it. And when the moment of relief also comes within the period, embrace it. When it goes back to pain, embrace it. When it goes back to relief, embrace it. Your waiting period should actually be considered as a period where Allah wants you.
Hmm.
That was how I viewed it. Your crying period should be defined as when Allah wants to hear you, and not when Allah wants you to just grieve and wallow away. Your happy period is when Allah wants you to be grateful so that He can give you more. Because Allah says in the Quran, when you are grateful, I will give you more.
Hmm.
When we build our relationship with Allah and we continue to see Allah that He is present with us, I feel it goes a long way in helping us see things that ordinarily would have weighed down another person. So when you are out of marriage, see it as a part of life. Like I viewed mine as a part of life. See it as one of those aspects of life. Even when you're working, at times people do things that gets you angry. You leave your job. So if your
No.
marriage is not working or has ended, would you decide that you don't want to embrace more of Allah's mercy?
Hmm.
I can only preach patience, and I can only preach use it as an opportunity to improve your relationship with God. I'm emphasizing this. Maybe if there was this transcript going on, the relationship with Allah would have come up thousands of times, because I know that when you build this relationship, the turbulences you would be facing, you would always find Allah present.
Mm.
Don't be hopeless, and don't be forceful.
Yeah. That.
Don't be hopeless, and don't be forceful. You are not in charge of your life. You are not in charge of your provision.
Oh,
Allah says it in the Quran. He said, I provide sustenance. I am the source of sustenance. Even the charity you are extending to someone, you are not the one that has provided for that person.
yes.
Be hopeful, but don't be forceful. Don't see, at times when we are doing things out of desperation, there is a way you know you are doing something out of desperation. So another thing is, what I want to also take away is, who has Allah defined a divorced woman to be? And I'm going to take us to Surah to Tahrim. I think that's verse 66 of the Quran. And there's a story behind that verse. It's chapter verse 5. And it was when the prophet and the prophet's wives, they connived, Aisha and Afsa, they connived about, making jest of as in trying to tell the prophet that he had something and his mouth was smelling, right? So they tried to make the prophet feel irritated, knowing how hygienic the prophet is. The prophet then decided that he would not take that. Was it honey? I think it was honey, Allah Halam, again, because the both wives complained that his mouth was smelling. Then at that point, he forbade himself from taking that particular item. I think it was honey, but Allah knows best. Then Allah sent Angel Gabriel to him, Angel Jibril, to tell him that. Now, not to forget, I'm trying to define who Allah has defined a divorced woman to be. And maybe this would wake us up. Then the angel Gabriel revealed the prophet that there is absolutely nothing wrong with your mouth. This is just something Afsa and Aisha connived, like they plotted. You understand, for a particular reason. Then Allah revealed that surah that then he warned, he was admonishing the prophet, saying that why would you ban yourself? This chapter 1, surah to 66. If anyone has a Quran, you can check. That why would you ban yourself or make haram for yourself what Allah has made permissible to you?
Yeah.
And that's number one. I think even that chapter, we can also say, why would you make haram for yourself? Because somebody has done bad to you in marriage. You are now making marriage haram for yourself. And this is the first time I'm actually thinking about that. Because the prophet banned honey for himself because his wife said it smells in his mouth. Then he banned it. Then Allah said, why would you ban for yourself what he has made permissible? This is the first time I'm actually applying it to marriage. So why would you ban marriage for yourself? Because something has gone bad.
Yeah.
Then Allah went on to say, now, scolding Aisha and Afsa through the Quran, that if both of you do not repent from what you have done by saying the prophet's mouth is smelling, knowing that it doesn't smell, then it takes me to chapter 5, which is what I'm going to read it out and try to explain a little bit about what I'm trying to do. It said, if they do not repent as a result of what they have connived, what they have plotted, it said, chapter 5 then said, then we would ask him to divorce you all. And Allah then went on to say, and he will replace you with better wives who are submissive to Allah, who are faithful to him, who are devoted to him, who are repentant to him, who are dedicated to worship, who are fasting from the category of women that have been previously married and virgin. If Allah can say that he's going to replace Aisha and Afsa with better women from those that have been previously married, do you know what it means to be previously married and you're a wife of the prophet? Meaning that there is good in those that are also previously married, and there is also good if you're a virgin. So why would you define yourself the way society has defined you because you're a
Nah,
divorced woman?
don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. You're
Allah
just
has
killing
honored
yourself.
you to say, even if you were alive in the time of the prophets, you are qualified to be among those that he would choose as a wife for him.
Mm.
The way Allah has honored us, I think what we look at when we look at ourselves and we think, oh, I'm divorced, the society thinks less of me, is that how Allah has defined me.
Mm.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with you as a woman, and only takes someone, if any man comes to you to say, Osha, marry, I beg you in the name of Allah, or you've been married before, I beg you in the name of Allah, that is not the man you want. Am I not just going to marry you? Who is going to marry you? Haven't you been married before?
They
Is that
say
how Allah
Lillahi,
defines
Lillahi wa Rasul.
uh,
I just want to marry Lillahi wa
marry
Rasul.
you? You want to
I'm not a
manage me?
charity case.
I'm not a charity case.
Oh my goodness.
So
This
we
is
should
where,
rather say that
oh,
if Allah
yeah,
has said that you are qualified to be among those that would be the wife of the prophet, what better definition of value do you want when Allah has defined you that way?
yeah.
Do not get married to anyone. Do not make your waiting period. Do not stigmatize yourself or victimize yourself on in the name of who is going to marry me. You are a honorable woman.
Yeah.
Allah revealed a whole surah because of you. Allah even mentioned in Surah to Al-Baqarah how a man should treat you when you are divorced. What honor
Yeah.
do you want? Why should you then put yourself in a situation that is less than what Allah has placed you to be? You are divorced, and it's not because you are sinful to Allah. It's a calling, just like any challenge that happens to Allah, to us as a Muslim. We use it as an opportunity to define our relationship with Allah. Use it as an opportunity to define and refine your relationship with Allah where you don't have another person that will distract you. So the goal here is do not look down on yourself. Allah has never defined you in that way. And if you feel that is not enough, Allah has revealed the old chapter on how men should handle you when you are divorced. What honor do you want? And Allah then went on to say, if you now decide to separate, I'm going to meet you at the point of your need. I mean, I wish people can improve their relationship with Allah in every challenge that we face in our life. For us to be able to see that when we have troubles, it is not because Allah loves us. It is an avenue for improving and getting to know Allah more. So that's all I'm going to
It's
close
not
it with.
because Allah hates us.
Not because Allah hates us.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's been what I knew if I have you as my guest, I just knew it that we will not end this on time because there is a lot to talk about. Because there is a
Yeah,
lot of experience to share. There
yeah,
is a lot of, impactful messages to pass, message to pass across to people.
yeah,
Alhamdulillah. But fortunately and unfortunately, we have to end the program.
yeah.
And I just want to say a big thank you for honoring these invites, for
Thank
coming here and sharing your vulnerability with us, for
Yeah,
also sharing from your experience, using it as a guide and a support and advice and encouragement for women out there who are still,
yeah.
struggling with divorce and those who have the fear of wanting to try again. May Allah continue to strengthen you. May Allah
I
continue
mean,
to increase you in beneficial knowledge. And may Allah
I
make
mean,
this beneficial to our audience as well. May Allah accept it from
um,
you and from us and not throw it back in our face on the day of Yawm Kiyama. And
I mean.
I want to say Jazakumullah khair for
Oh, yeah. Thank you
I'll
very
stop,
much.
stop
It's
blushing. Stop blushing. Don't bring that one here. Don't blush here. Okay, so I just want to say thank you to our audience as well for listening to us today. I know we've taken a lot of your time today, but I hope you find this episode really beneficial. Join us
Mhm.
next week, inshallah, as we bring in another coach that will be sharing a lot of beneficial information with us as well. We have a lot of professionals that we're bringing on just to support that community of divorced women. We have a list of them. We have lawyers, divorce lawyers, Muslim divorce lawyers. We have Muslim psychologists. We have people who are also going to help women when it comes to parenting, divorced women when it comes to parenting, because the bulk of the work is always left with the women. We always carry the load, unfortunately. But then do not forget that there is a community that looks out for you, that cares about your feelings, your journey, and here to support you. Inshallah, these are not people, the people we bring on are not people who have read from books. People, these are people who have gone through it themselves, who have come out of it stronger, and better than who they were before. I mean, during their marriage. Alhamdulillah. So please join us next week as we bring in another wonderful guest to share experience with you. So with this, we say Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you all next week, inshallah. I love you all. Mwah. Thank you,
Bye.
Bolarinwa, for
Thank
being here.
you.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.